Long before the idea of America existed, this land was home to over 500 unique native tribes, each with their own languages, cultures, and governments. The Iroquois Confederacy in the Northeast had a sophisticated political system. Some historians even believe it influenced parts of the U.S. Constitution. On the Great Plains, tribes like the Lakota mastered horseback culture. In the Southwest, the Pueblo peoples built advanced stone cities and irrigation systems in the desert. And in the Pacific Northwest, tribes developed art, trade networks, and complex social structures. This was not an empty continent. It was a mosaic of nations, each deeply connected to the land. They lived here for thousands of years, until the world changed forever. In 1492, Christopher Columbus landed in the Caribbean, but he never stepped foot on what is now the United States. Actual European presence began decades later with the Spanish and then the English. In 1607, the English founded Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. But the truth? Jamestown was a disaster. Most settlers were unprepared. Many died from starvation, disease, and conflict. Within months, the colony nearly collapsed. What saved it was tobacco, a crop that turned Virginia into a profitable colony, but also introduced the system of plantations, powered first by indentured servants and later by enslaved Africans. This economic model would shape the future of America for centuries. We often hear the charming story of the Pilgrims and the first Thanksgiving, but the real story was far more complicated. The Pilgrims arrived in 1620, desperate and starving. It was the Wampanoag tribe, especially a man named Tisquantum or Squanto, who taught them how to survive. What textbooks rarely mention is that disease brought by earlier Europeans had already destroyed nearly 90% of the Wampanoag population. The tribe helped the Pilgrims partly to secure allies against rival tribes. Thanksgiving wasn't just a peaceful feast. It was part of a fragile political relationship that would later collapse into war by the 1700s. 13 English colonies stretched along the East Coast. And for a long time, life was relatively peaceful. So what changed? After the expensive French and Indian War, Britain needed money. They taxed the colonies, tea, paper, sugar, stamps, without giving them representation in Parliament. This gave birth to the famous phrase, "No taxation without representation." Protests grew. Tensions escalated. The Boston Tea Party shocked the British government. Then came the breaking point. April 19th, 1775, the battles of Lexington and Concord, the first shots of the American Revolution. From that moment, independence was no longer a dream. It became a war. On July 4th, 1776, 56 men signed the Declaration of Independence. But here's the truth we often forget. When they signed, the United States did not exist yet. It was an idea, not a country. The British Army was the most powerful in the world. The American Army was poorly trained and constantly short on supplies. Victory was far from guaranteed. It took 8 long years, brutal winters, countless battles, foreign alliances, before the dream of independence finally became reality. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially recognized the United States. America was born. But its challenges were just beginning. After the war, the new states were divided and struggling. They had no strong central government. The country was on the edge of collapse. So in 1787, leaders met in Philadelphia to create a new system. The result was the U.S. Constitution, a document unlike anything the world had seen. It established the Presidency Congress, the Supreme Court, checks and balances the Bill of Rights, but it also included compromises, including the painful acceptance of slavery, to keep the states united. The Constitution was not perfect, but it created a structure that allowed America to grow into a powerful nation. In the 1800s, America expanded rapidly, doubling, then tripling in size: the Louisiana Purchase, the push westward, the California Gold Rush. These events shaped the modern map of the United States. But this expansion came with a heavy cost. Millions of Native Americans were forced from their lands, most tragically during the Trail of Tears, where thousands died during forced relocations. As the nation grew, so did the conflict between free states and slave states, setting the stage for the deadliest chapter in American history. From 1861 to 1865, the United States collapsed into a brutal civil war. The reasons were complex, but at the center of it was slavery. More than 600,000 Americans died, more than in any other war the U.S. has fought. President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation began the process of